All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, guys. Today with another Toronto Raptor video. Before I get into it, first off, Raptors Nation, thank you guys so much. You guys are changing my life. I wanted to hit 6,000 subscribers by the end of August, and I am about 20 subs away from 6.5K. So we might actually hit 7,000 subs in the month of August. My goal of 10K by the end of the year is looking pretty reachable now. So thank you guys so much. With that being said, let's try and aim for 300 likes on today's video. Thank you. Now, since I've been getting a lot of new fans or a lot of new subscribers, a lot of new viewers coming to the channel, I've been getting a lot of, first off, I've been getting a lot of support. Thank you guys so much for all the kind words you guys say in the comment section. I read them all. I read every comment. Thank you guys so much. I try to respond to them all. But we got a comment from a guy named JJ. I don't want to say his full name in case, just privacy reasons, if he didn't want his name to be in it. But I got a guy, his initials are from JJ, and he asked, a good video question would be, what does a successful season look like for the Raptors? And I really want to touch on this because I was going to make a Goran Dragic video. You guys love making fun of the way I pronounce names. I live here in Chicago, for those of you wondering, so kind of Midwest, we kind of have a different emphasis on certain words and syllables as it is. And then I also my dialect as far as names go isn't the greatest. So Goran Dragic, Pascal Siakam, you guys like making fun of that. But with Goran Dragic, I was going to make a video, probably going to save that for tomorrow. I thought this video idea was perfect because not only do the Toronto Raptors not get love from the media, I just feel like only Raptor fans really understand how good this Raptors team is. And since most of my channel subscribers are like Rocket fans or NBA fans, it seems like the more Raptor videos I make, the more a lot of my non-Raptor fans are like, hey, yeah, you know what? You're actually right. This Raptor squad is pretty good. And so if I were to guess the top 10 players on this rotation, and I think they'll go with a 10-man rotation, is I look at it as Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., OG, Pascal, Kem Birch. The bench mob is going to go Malachi Flynn, Goran Dragic, to be determined. Talk about that in a second. Scotty Barnes, Chris Boucher, and then Precious Achiuwa. Now, I mentioned in my last video earlier today that I 100% think Scotty Barnes will be finishing games for the Toronto Raptors season. I don't know if it'll happen right away, but based off his last performance against Charlotte and just based off of his defensive skill, I have to say, if he plays well, if he plays how he played in the Summer League, if he plays how we're kind of thinking he might play, he'll be finishing the games. So Scotty Barnes coming off the bench for now, but he might be finishing the games even right out of the gate. Another quick thing I do want to mention, actually really quickly, is I really like what the Raptors did in the Summer League, which is probably what they'll try to do in the regular season. If you have Scotty Barnes guarding whoever's taking the ball up to kind of just assemble a wall. I was watching the Raptors Summer League game, which I did want to comment on earlier today. I was actually live for a little bit of it, but all 5 starters were out for just kind of keep them safe and not injured. Guys like Delano Band, I'm watching, it's not even halftime yet. The Raptors have accumulated like 10 turnovers against the Brooklyn Nets. It's just all of these guys are just, they're just building like walls. You can't get behind these walls. And even if you do get behind these walls, these guys, someone commented, 11 players with 7 foot or higher wingspans. If you get around Scotty Barnes or whoever's guarding you, you have to deal with not only their long-ass arms, but you have to deal with the other 4 players with 7 foot wingspans on the roster. So it's just really cool. It was cool to watch today, even though none of the starters were playing, that their bench and that their Summer League team is still just playing really good defense, just top to bottom. So going back to the initial question, what does a successful season look like for the Raptors? I have to say playoffs. And like I said, it's been cool making all these Raptor videos and having my non-Raptor subscribers be like, you know what, you're actually right. This Raptors team is looking pretty good. I have to say, I don't know if they'll top four it in the East, just because when I think of the top four in the East, I'm thinking you got the Nets and the Bucks as essential locks, and then number 3, it could go to the Heat, it could go to the Bulls, it could go to the Raptors, it could go to Philly, it could go to a whole bunch of different teams. I wouldn't be surprised if it were to happen, but I don't think that they will claim a top 4 seed this season. However, if they were to stay healthy, no COVID positives, you're staying healthy, your players are developing, your players are progressing, then I could definitely see maybe even the 3 seed. I don't think they'll creep into the top 2 just because the Nets and the Bucks seem like they're in a different stratosphere as far as teams in the East. But with the Bulls, we don't really know how the new look Bulls are going to look. The Miami Heat had a really bad ending to their year last year, kind of an inconsistent season altogether. Philly has never scared me, ever. I mean, they have Ben Simmons on their roster. I know they have Joel Embiid, who's an absolute menace, but when I think of the Sixers, I think of Ben Simmons, and I'm like, well, what's there really to be afraid of? And so those are the teams that kind of give me the most worry. The Knicks are up there as well, but I think the Raptors altogether will be either a 5 or a 6 seed. Now, what's most important for the Raptors this season, in my opinion, is player development and player progression. Championships were not built in one day. That's a common misconception. You have a lot of NBA fans, a lot of casual NBA fans just think like, if you are not, like a lot of people think if you are a contender, it means you're a title contender. That's not necessarily true. To become a title contender, in my opinion, unless you're either like buying all these players, like kind of like, you know, the Lakers trading for AD, LeBron signing there, trading for Russell Westbrook, it takes a while to get a homegrown championship roster. It takes years of development. It takes a lot of failures. It takes a lot of successes. Championships they're not just born in one season, or if they are, it's very, very rare. If you have a team that you're kind of surprised about, like the Phoenix Suns making the finals this season, well, if you watched them in the bubble when they won their final 7 games, if you watched them in the season before, yeah, they weren't a great team, but you can see the potential, you can see the promise, you could see that the Phoenix Suns just really needed that veteran point guard to get them to that level. When I think of the Raptors, I think of playoffs just making this team so much better. Even if it's a first-round exit, which obviously we're not rooting for, we're not hoping for, the knowledge and the experience that a lot of these young players are going to get, particularly Precious Achiuwa, particularly Scotty Barnes, Malachi Flynn, these are the young players that I want to get that playoff experience. And so, like I said earlier in the video, if the Raptors are healthy, there's no reason they're not making the playoffs. That roster defensively is way too good to be outside of a 10 seed. No matter what conference you're in, no matter what the other conference teams are doing, their defense, the Raptors' defense is way too good to miss the playoffs. And so to me, you make the playoffs and you see player progression in guys like Scotty Barnes, guys like Precious Achiuwa, Pascal Siakam hopefully takes that next step into superstar. OG, he might turn into a superstar. Fred VanVleet. For the Raptors, I think a lot of Raptor fans, along with myself, just want to see development. You want to be happy for something. Last year was a horrible year for the Raptors. It was like the first time they missed the playoffs in over a decade. It's not going to be like that. They're back home. They're going to get their home wins. Chemistry is going to be there. They're going to be way better this season. And so for me, it's kind of like the Bulls. Right, the Bulls team, while I don't think that they're title contenders, I do think that they are playoff contenders. And so my hopes with the Chicago Bulls are just that they make the playoffs and are competitive throughout the playoffs so that we can build towards a championship team. That's exactly what the Toronto Raptors, in my opinion, should be looking for. However, with Toronto, you never know. They actually might have a championship level team assembled. However, if you're just kind of being realistic about statistics here, Scotty Barnes, Precious Achiuwa, etc., Malachi Flynn, etc., Banton, etc., all those young guys, they're going to need a couple of years to progress to get into that kind of territory. However, like we saw with the Phoenix Suns, you never really know what's going to happen. So my ultimate prediction for this season with the Toronto Raptors, and what I view as a very, very successful season for them with the development, with the progression, is I see the Raptors getting that 5 seed in the East. Maybe they creep up into 4, but my prediction is the 5 seed in the East, and they take down the 4 seed, and they advance to the second round of the playoffs. From there, most likely they're going to run into either a Bucks or a Nets or something like that. So second round, I think that would be awesome. Now, I'm really curious because obviously I need to hear from Raptors fans. What to you constitutes, what do you want to see? What would a successful season look like for the Raptors in your opinion? So that's my opinion. That's it for today. Once again, if we could get this video to about 300 likes, that would be the world to me. Trying to get 7,000 subscribers. I know it won't happen with one video, so every subscriber is appreciated. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great night. Peace.